Qashqai je dobil novo masko. Pravijo, da je to nov nasmeh, zato ker je tako oblikovan v obliki črke V. In ta maska vsebuje elemente, ki izhajajo iz japonske tradicije. Ampak o tej maski bomo še govorili. Seveda sem govoril s glavnim oblikovalcem novega Qashqaia, ampak na premieri tega novega modela smo slišali zelo, zelo zanimive obljube. Dajmo se jim posvetiti. Prva obljuba pravi, da bodo Nissanovi električni modeli postali cenovno izenačeni z bencinskimi.
Big part of the automotive buyers are ready to jump on the EV. But there are still some barriers, there are still some blocking points. The first one, this is the price of the car. Cost parity, that means that basically the customer will be able to choose or to have the same investment, the same budget, either for an ICE or for an EV car. We are reducing the gap year on year. First, working on the actual technology, which is the lithium technology on the battery, which is the biggest challenge. This is definitely the biggest challenge. And of course, running until 2028 when we will launch the solid-state battery solution. We are already starting to build those batteries, so we are testing some small one, and every month we are increasing the size of the battery. And we have the manufacturing side, because it's good to know how to build the battery, but you need to know how to build it on a big scale. And we started the process of industrialization in a very specific plant in Japan. So we are running those two processes, the pure R&D on one side, how to industrialize this. The first launch of this battery will be in 2028. So this one is really the lever, the driver of this parity between ICE and EV.
Te besede so torej dobra novica, saj je to zagotovilo, da bodo po zaslugi baterij z elektrolitom v trdem agregatnem stanju električni Nissani postali cenejši, ne pa bencinski dražji. Naj spomnim, da Nissan v Londonu kar po ulicah centra Londona in pa po okolici Londona testira avtonomna vozila, avtonomne life, in seveda je bila želja, da bi preko tega raziskovanja nekoč ponudili tudi avtonomne taksije, se pravi taksije, ki bodo svoje taksi vožnje upravljale brez voznika za volanom. Pri Nissanu seveda razlaga oziroma zdaj ugotavlja, da so bile začetna pričakovanja bistveno preveč uranjena in da je zadeva bistveno bolj zapletena, kot so sprva pričakovali, da pa je z leti takoj postal glavni fokus vsega tega raziskovanja predvsem, kako izboljšati klasične asistenčne sisteme, ki jih najdemo tudi v takšnih ljudskih Nissanih Qashqaiih. In lepo je videti, kako hitro se pri Nissanu učijo in svoje ugotovitve tudi hitro prenašajo v serijske avtomobile. In na primeru današnjega Qashqaia lahko povemo, da so ponudili tudi rešitev, ki bo zelo, zelo olajšala problem, ki so ga zakuhali v Bruslju.
There is a new regulation requirement from Europe that basically requires each ignition cycle, so each time you turn on the car, that all those systems are enabled by default. So to meet this requirement, but to mitigate the issue that you have to go one by one each time you start the car, we have created this shortcut button. There's this button on the steering wheel. You can see the first item on the shortcut menu is called Driver Assist Custom.
Govorimo o tistih oziroma o tistem asistenčnem sistemu, ki nam svojim delovanjem para živce, namesto da bi nam pomagal. O sistemu za opozarjanje na prehitro vožnjo. Ta v Sloveniji in v državah z enakimi cestnimi pravili pravzaprav sploh ne bi smel biti uzakonjen, kajti avtomobili hitrostno omejitev ugotavljajo predvsem s kamero, ki skenira prometne znake. Ker pa pri nas križišče razveljavi hitrostno omejitev in zato po križišču ni potreben po novem znaku, avtomobili redno opozarjajo na prehitro vožnjo tudi takrat, kadar vozimo pravilno. Pri Nissanu nam zdaj ta bruseljski nesmisel pomagajo odpraviti z enostavnostjo izklopa tega sistema, a hkrati pa so ta sistem tudi zelo izboljšali, že skoraj do natančnosti, ko postanejo ta opozorila že skoraj smiselna.
The technology that we've used in the past with camera only was not very accurate in some cases where there is not always logical ways that speed signs are posted. So the system has difficulties interpreting that. So with the new Qashqai, what we've done is we've installed a system for intelligent speed assist that is collaborating between the camera right here behind the windscreen and a dedicated speed map. So this is basically a non-customer facing map that is saving what is the speed limit on all the roads. And by combining the speed map with the camera, the accuracy of the intelligent speed assist has improved dramatically. It's meeting at least the requirement of 90% accuracy today.
90%.
Yeah.
Qashqai je po novem Googlov avtomobil. Komunikacijske funkcije v avtomobilu zdaj deluje prek Googlovega operacijskega sistema. To seveda pomeni, da imamo zdaj opravka z oplemeniteno navigacijsko napravo, ali pa tudi, da so zdaj spletni radiji v meniju neposredno prepleteni s klasičnimi FM in DAB postajami. Vse pomembnejša pa je tudi Nissanova aplikacija na našem mobilnem telefonu.
When you forgot to lock the car door and you walk away from the car, your Nissan Connected Services app will show you a pop-up message asking you if you want to lock the car, in case you forgot. And we're offering stolen vehicle tracking, at first now in the G5 countries, so that's UK, Germany, France, Spain and Italy, where we have stolen vehicle tracking and immobilization. That means that working with the local authorities and the local police in those countries, there's a call center in case your vehicle gets stolen. Working with the local authorities, they can decide to immobilize the vehicle, basically making sure you cannot start the vehicle again, and they can recover the vehicle. So we can offer this as a subscription service in those countries. So that's a monthly rate or a yearly rate, depending on what you prefer. Current pricing is €99 a year. In some countries, we're working with the insurance companies. And for example, in Spain, they are offering a discount if you have this service available on your insurance, which basically makes the service free because it's compensated by the discount on your insurance.
V Sloveniji torej še ne boste dobili popusta pri zavarovanju na kraju, so pa zdaj tukaj sistemi, ki vas lahko zavarujejo pred tistim, česar izza volana ne morete videti. Pogledate lahko celo skozi pokrov motorja, po novem pa lahko celo škilite.
If there's like buildings on the side in small city centers or there's some greenery, some trees, you have to creep forward quite a bit, all the way to the intersection to be able to look left and right to see of any oncoming traffic that's coming towards you. So what we're using is the camera that's in the very front of the grille of the vehicle. So it's basically 1.5 meters in front of you. This is a fisheye lens, so it has a super wide angle. So on the 12.3-inch display that we have here, it compresses the whole 200-degree angle into this view, and you can basically, in one glance, without having to pivot your head left and right, you can see any oncoming traffic that's coming towards you.
Gremo torej zdaj na obljubljeno poglavje dizajna.
There's a lot of coupé crossover that have to compromise on the comfort and the space, internal space. This is exactly the contrary of the DNA of Qashqai. Make the best of two different worlds, the SUV on one side and the sedan slash hatchback on the other side, but keep the benefits of each of those two concepts. We don't want to compromise on what has been the DNA of the car. So coupe crossover, okay, as long as we stay in this kind of brief.
Proporcev torej novi Qashqai ne spreminja, tudi noče biti preveč drzen, lep se mora zdeti večini. Po novem pa to večinsko všečnost pomaga doseči prek japonske tradicije.
We got kind of some good inspiration from Japanese ancient armor, which is the kind of chainmail. It looks like a kind of the ancient the armor, the kind of cloth, kind of very protective images as well. You look at that, this the small pieces, they work really beautifully. This angle is a kind of the designed angle to reflect the lights. So if you move, you can see this nicely. This reflection also move together. But outside, actually, we want this outside look always a little bit brighter than center part to express the vision, V-motion. This the kind of super the fine detail came from Japanese DNA.
Kar se tiče samih pogonov, ponudba ostaja bolj ali manj enaka. Se pravi, to pomeni tudi, da bo tisti najbolj zanimiv motor, najbolj modern motor še naprej e-Power. Seveda govorimo o motorju, pri katerem kolesa poganjajo elektromotori, ampak ti elektromotori svojo elektriko pridobivajo iz energije bencinskega motorja. Seveda, kako zadeva deluje v praksi, preizkusili smo in imamo video za vas in seveda ga zdaj predlagamo za vaš naslednji klik.